Normally we have Kayte Christensen join us at 8, but
I think this could be our new time.
I guess so, because when the TV people do the thing, you just do what the TV people want to do. You don't object. They want to come on at 9, they come on at 9. They want to come on at 8, they come on at 8. They don't want to come on at all, they don't want to come on at all. What was it last week? They want to not call in. You know what? You're just happy to have them. Joining us right now. The voice, one of them, of your Sacramento Kings. Former WNBA player. Native of likely California, Alturas. Santa Barbara, UC, Santa Barbara Gaucho. Kayte Christensen. Good morning.
Good morning.
You didn't know where that was going either, did you, Katie?
You never do, really, Jason.
Yeah. Just running through the history.
I know, but I could see the wheels turning. I was like, there's
her nephew one time, Zane, dove through a inner tube in my pool.
Oh, successfully.
Oh,
well, that's good.
Actually, I think Katie did too, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
Which
studs.
Good story. Yes.
Didn't that happen? Am I remembering that right?
Yes, it happened long time ago. He's like a grown man now.
Yeah, I haven't seen him since then.
Yeah.
So he's a little kid to me, but I think you dove through.
He's a much larger man than you.
Is he really?
6'8".
Whoa.
Are you serious? He's 6'8"?
Yeah.
Dude, he came up to like my nipples the last time I saw him. He's 6.
Okay.
I'm just
That's
saying.
a visual everyone would prefer not to have.
What? Free the nipple. I'm just saying that's
he's a lot taller now.
He's a lot. Wow. Is he big? Like not tall, but like, big?
He is about the size of one of my legs. Yeah. Hasn't quite filled in yet.
Oh, okay. He's okay. I got it. Yeah. Well, I don't know how to react to that. All right. Katie, I'm of the opinion, and we have these conversations quite a bit, but I'm mad at the team a little bit, and I am worried about tonight. The Kings are. I know you don't get into odds, but the Kings are favored by 7.5 tonight by Las Vegas, which worries me quite a bit. This smells like a revenge game. It's their first game back from a road trip. They have no Malik Monk, and they can't hit the ocean if they threw a ball out of the boat when it comes to 3-pointers. So, what do we say to that?
Yeah, I mean, the 3-point shooting is, now 11 games in, and it's a little bit troubling. I think when any team that relies heavily on a 3-ball for success, when they're not hitting for that amount of time, it's troublesome. But it's this team, I think we're still trying to figure them out. I mean, when you look at it and you've got, your big 3 players in DeMar De'Aaron and Domas, that really none of them are high, well, it's not to say De'Aaron's not a high volume 3-point shooter, but his certainly hasn't fallen this year. And I think it has a lot to do with, his hands, having those 2 fingers, the pinky finger and the ring finger taped. I mean, it changes your grip on the ball, your hold on the ball, everything. So I don't know if that has something to do with it, or if, he's just struggling with the 3-ball and consistency early in the season, but none of them are, they're big time scorers, but they're not big time 3-point shooters. So I don't know if the dynamic of the team has changed in that sense. They've obviously been able to win games and play fairly well despite their 3-point shooting. I want to believe it's going to change because they have too many good 3-point shooters on the team to think that this is just a new reality. But, they're facing a team that they played really well just a couple games ago in Phoenix. Obviously, Kevin Durant is out for a couple weeks. But Malik Monk not being available also throws a wrench in the plans for Sacramento. So, I understand kind of hesitation with them right now, but I think that, I truly believe that this team has not quite adjusted to kind of identity, each other, the coaching staff, rotations, all of those things. I think it's still being worked out. I mean, adding a piece like DeMar, it's not like adding a complementary piece. He is a major piece. And I think they're still kind of figuring out their flow and identity a little bit.
Katie, what's interesting, I agree with you. I mean, I think we all believe they'll be better at shooting, at least not this bad. I don't know that they'll be, one of the great shooting teams, but I found it interesting. I think maybe even you asked him, Coach Brown, in one of the post games, I know it was somewhere on the road, that sometimes while these struggles are going on, he'll still reference and think they need to take more.
Yeah.
And I find that interesting. How about you?
No, I don't find it shocking because, every coach's, kind of dynamic now is that you've got to take a volume of threes. Threes are better than twos in this NBA these days, in this day's NBA. So I think that, it matters because they're a good offensive rebounding team. Keegan Murray has been excellent. Kevin Huerter has been excellent. So it does put you in a position. 3-point shots usually have a better chance in terms of coming up with offensive rebounds. But also I think it's important for him to say it because he doesn't want his team to hesitate to kind of mentally get in their heads about the 3-point struggles. You want to try and, instill some confidence in them. But I mean, everyone is shifting. I mean, when we played Miami, Spoelstra he's like, listen, we want threes and layups, which kind of reminds me of the Kevin Love days in Minnesota. Like they just did not want mid-range shots at all. And that's just kind of where the league is at. So I'm not surprised. I think it's for a variety of reasons. They all make sense. But I do think that 26 threes is just not enough. And that was the reference he was talking to in the game where they went like 3 of 26, I think. So that kind of, I get it. I understand that.
Kayte Christensen joining us, and we've got a depth issue. And look, I agree with everything you're saying. Let me just say that from the jump. I'm not fighting back on any points you're making. I just don't know how you coach it. Like, how do you coach you're not making threes? And how do you coach? It's like, how do you coach them making all their free throws? Did they do a new drill in the offseason and now all of a sudden they're leading the league in free throws? Obviously, adding DeMar DeRozan's a huge part of that, but everybody else is making their free throws too. So how the hell do you coach this or coach out of it?
Well, the making the free throws thing, I think, is a direct result of them struggling so bad last year. And when you look at how things ended up in the Western Conference and then missing the playoffs and how a couple games can make the difference, I think we can point to well more than a couple games where their lack of being able to convert at the free throw line ended up and resulted in a loss. So I think that was just a focus going into the offseason where guys went and just did a much, much better job. But it's the same thing that I've been talking about during the games about the 3-point shooting, really. The last opponent, and my goodness, San Antonio is not a great 3-point shooting team at all. But when you have a guy like Victor or anybody that knocks down a few threes straight out of the gate, it gives the rest of the team a confidence and a looseness to their game. And I think the same thing kind of applies at the free throw line. When you see guys step up and knock them down and they're not missing, everyone's pretty loose. But when guys are missing, every time another guy steps up to the line, it's like, God, I got to make these. I got to make these because we're missing. These make a difference, so on and so forth. And so I think that mentality it's very synergistic across the board for everyone else on the roster. But in terms of the 3-point shooting, like Mike saying, hey, we need to shoot more. That's kind of how you coach it, is to say, I have faith in you. And you have to just be in the gym. I can't remember what game it was last year, but there was a game, and I do remember because it was Oklahoma City and there was a tornado warning and the guys had to stay in the gym. Kevin Huerter had been struggling from 3, and he just went straight back out on the floor and just got a workout in shooting the 3 ball, and he shot better after that. So I think a lot of it is just putting in the extra time. It's reps.
Kayte, just to follow up on that, because you said get in the gym. I've seen this question for a minute now, and I'm not going to dismiss it because we saw this happen with De'Aaron Fox a couple years ago. I know you're not a doctor or a physical therapist, but do you think there's any chance that Keegan's bulk, his added bulk, might be what's affecting his shooting? Because nobody understands why this dude ain't shooting.
No, I mean, he added last year, obviously, and he didn't shoot the 3 ball as well as he did in his rookie year. I don't believe in that. I personally, having played, I don't think that adding muscle affects your shot to that degree. Now, with Grayson Allen, who put on like 25 pounds of muscle in the off season and a lot of it in his upper body, and he shot 46%, led the league a year ago. Yeah, that is puzzling to me. But the reality of it is for Keegan, he's still a really young player in this league, and he has to develop his NBA body. But I think that Keegan does so many other things now that it's not just purely 3-point shooting for him. He's added a lot of different components to his offensive game. And I don't know if it's just, hey, we're not shooting the 3 as much. We're focusing on other things as well. I don't know if it's mental. I mean, it's really hard to kind of ascertain what the issue is there.
Kayte, one of my concerns, I mean, the obvious one we just addressed was the 3-point shooting. I'm a little concerned about the impact of the bench. And when you lose Malik, that's certainly going to hurt. So that's understandable. And as a result of that, it's put a lot of minutes on the starters, and those guys have really been good. So what do you think would be a resolution? I mean, I know Mike Brown's trusting those guys. The results he's getting from the starters are great. What do you think they need to do differently to get more out of whoever comes off that bench for the Kings?
Well, I agree with you. The bench production has been troublesome. And, there's not a lot of turnover on the bench in terms of, the same bench unit that, was top 5 in the league. Not, what was it, a year ago? Was it last year before? I mean, they've been a really productive bench for a while now. I think the difference is that before, when you had De'Aaron and Domas, Mike Brown, his substitution patterns was, okay, you want to always try and have one or the other on the floor with that second unit, but there was also times when both of them were out. Right now, I mean, you might have just one of those guys sitting out, and you've got, like, say, Domas and DeMar on the bench or on the floor together. So I think that there's less shots available for the bench now because you've got 3 guys that are always going to be the focus. And if 2 of them are on the floor, then, the other 3 guys out there aren't getting as many shots. So I think that's part of it, but they haven't shot the 3 well. And a lot of the bench scoring has been from Malik Monk, and he has had a slow start offensively to the season. So it's a combination of those things. But like I said, I think a lot of it is, and Mike Brown has been very vocal about the fact that he's still figuring out his rotations, groupings. And then part of it is, forced. Kevin Huerter missed a couple games because he was sick. Malik Monk is now out with the ankle sprain for at least a couple weeks. So then it's like, then you're going deeper into your bench. You're figuring out different rotations because of that. So, I mean, it's not been an ideal circumstance. Trey Lyles came back at the start of this season after missing preseason. Kevin Huerter missed preseason. So a lot of these things it's about reps and not even just reps. It's also about getting in game shape. So it's great when you're in practice and you're doing your 3-point shooting, you're working on your scoring. But it's a different component when you get into the game and you're winded and your legs aren't quite beneath you. A lot of the shots are just, they're short. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. So to me, it's more of you need to kind of get in that game shape situation.
Kayte, what is different when 2 teams play each other in a short period of time, like the Suns, the home and away? That they're
it's easier.
Yeah, is it easier for both?
It's easier for both. Yeah, absolutely. It's easier for both, just in terms of prep. And it was, they prepped really well for Phoenix. We're not able to because San Antonio was second night of a back-to-back. So, you didn't even have a shoot around. You had a walkthrough in the hotel and game film. And so that's different. It's harder always in that situation. And you'll be working on some stuff for San Antonio a little bit before the Phoenix game, but you really have to focus on each game at hand. And that's the priority. So, corporate knowledge, you just played them. You played them well. What went well, what didn't go well, what you need to change and adjust. And it's easy to do that within a few days of each other. It's just for both teams. I mean, it's an advantage for both teams.
And you can't say both here. Did Devin Booker, in your opinion, have an off night, or was it the defense the Kings played on him?
Did he have a what night?
An off not like Davion Mitchell, but did Devin Booker have an off shooting night for him?
I couldn't tell if you said off or awesome. I was trying to figure out.
OFF.
Yeah.
Did Devin Booker have a bad night in your opinion, or was it the Kings defense they played on him? Which was more?
I didn't really think he had an off night. I thought he had a great impact. He may not have, scored or shot the ball percentage wise great, but I mean, we touched on it a little bit in the San Antonio game. If you guys look up, kind of on ball ISO defenders and you look up the stats, De'Aaron Fox is
number one.
He was at there's different categories, right? But in the top, he was top 6. And I mentioned it during the San Antonio game in terms of defenders that are isolation, like it's an ISO situation. They're not there's no double teaming, none of that. And Alex Caruso was at the top, but it was like 9 possessions a game or 9 field goal attempts a game. And then the next 4 guys, drastic drop in terms of the number of shot attempts. And then De'Aaron Fox was at 6, and they do it based on field goal percentage, but the number of shot attempts was 15 for De'Aaron. So he is so focused and challenging himself and taking on the challenge of guarding primary offensive scorers and down the stretch especially, and he's done really well at that. So I want to say defensively the Kings have done a good job, and a lot of it I feel you have to credit De'Aaron Fox with that.
Katie, we know Durant's obviously out. Well, I'm not sure about Nurkic. He missed last night, but if it's not Nurkic and Plumlee's in there, differences there for Sabonis and some of the things the Kings may or may not try to do if in fact Nurkic is out.
I don't think it changes a lot with Nurk out because they run, Mike Budenholzer has changed their offensive approach in a large way, and they're another team like Miami. And I think this has kind of impacted Phoenix a little bit, but their record is obviously great. But a lot of that has to do with having Kevin Durant and Book and Beal. But they do not want as many mid-range shots this year. They want layups and 3-point field goal attempts. Well, both KD and Devin Booker, they are, without a doubt, players that do well and thrive in the mid-range game. And I think more than anyone, it's been a difficult adjustment for Devin Booker in that sense. But, what they do is they spread the floor, 5 out, do a lot of screen action on the top, some on the sides. And the Kings struggled with that. And they struggled, with it against San Antonio as well. But I've got to wonder if they're going to, have looked at that, if the officials are going to have looked at that game and how they called it. I felt like Phoenix got away with a massive number of moving screens. It was absurd to me. And basically, if you've got a 5-out situation and you've got kind of a moving screen at the top, there's no way you're getting around and defending that screen action well at a high level, at a consistent rate. And I felt like that was something that, to me, just really stood out in that game where Nurk and Plumlee do a great job of setting screens and flirting with every single time it being illegal. So the Kings have to figure that out tonight. There was way too many, high pick and roll action where you're getting a bucket right at the rim because you've got a diver and you're so spread out with so many shooters around. It's really hard rotation-wise to cover the shooter in the corner and still be able to get that guy diving to the basket and defend that at a high level.
That's Kayte Christensen, the color analyst for your Sacramento Kings. She will be in action tonight with, do we know, is it Mark or Kyle? I never know.
I believe that it is Kyle tonight because I think Mark is calling some ESPN action.
They should give you
don't quote me on that.
Like you get the schedule and it's got like purple for home and like white for road. You should get a schedule where it's all colored out for like Kyle games and Mark games.
Yeah, but first of all, it doesn't really change much for me. In terms of me doing my job. But the thing is with Mark's schedule with ESPN, it's not as set as it has been in past years, a little bit more up in the air. They've got a lot going on over there, as we all know. So I think things are still kind of constantly changing in that sense.
Well, good luck tonight with Kyle or Mark.
Hey, Dave's going to be at the game.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, I know. See, I just wanted to warn you, Kate.
First game of the year.
Thank you. I'll make sure to hide out.
Yeah, and I will not be getting you a hot dog, so don't ask.
I won't. Trust me.
You always ask me to get you a hot dog.
I do not. I asked one time.
That's always.
It's always in his mind.
Every single time.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. See you later.
Okay, guys.
All right. Okay. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Kayte Christensen. I think she's asked more than once.
Okay. Think she'll ask you tonight?
No, because she said she wouldn't.
Okay.
I think she would have. No, she will not.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know. She sits down front. I don't know where I'm going to be.
I will say that media hot dog.
Yeah.
It's choice.
Okay.
It is, Chris?
Yes.
Oh, man.
All
It's
right.
at halftime. I always miss out on those.
I told you I'll go get you one.
Okay.
Ain't no problem.
Ain't no problem.
Media hot dog. Costco / Sam's Club hot dog.
Ooh, it's different.
Ooh.
Ooh.
They're different hot dogs. Like you're talking about like franchise hot dog versus like all-star hot dog.
Well, which is the franchise?
Costco.
Okay, so it's better.
It's an all-star dog, though. That's
yeah,
good.
all-star dog's good.
Yeah. You got a Hall of Famer versus like a good one.
Yeah. So like you
Not
have
a bust.
No, you have like Giannis is the Costco dog, and like Devin Booker is the media dog. What? He's not. Is Devin Booker a franchise player?
He would be. Yeah, he is. You do not like Devin Booker.
I think you don't like him, and then me liking him makes you hate him even more.
Yeah, it's true. I can tell he's not.
That's true,
Yeah.
and that's true, and also maybe other things. Just saying, not a fan.
That's okay.
That's
But
not
he's
fan.
a stud.
He is a stud. He is a very good basketball